there's like an overall culture in police, right? And
Yeah.
kind of has to do with like who is going into the police force exactly. And I see a bunch of people online saying like, oh, when you compare police to like say like the code like the National Guard, the people that go into the police force, they're generally like high school fuck ups or dropouts
Yeah.
that like don't know what else they want to do.
There are people that I think go into the police force trying to make a change,
Mhm.
but then
Yeah.
because just how fucked our police system really is, they kind of get dragged down into the muck to where it's either, oh look, be an associate with this, or hey look, you're in a 7-on-1 gunfight. Oh what? Sorry, I can't respond to that. I'm gonna give a story. So there's someone my dad knows. I'm not gonna say his name because I don't know if he wants me to say it or not, or anything like that. So he was a police officer. However, what happened was he said, I'm not going to cover for you if you do this like effed up shit. So then they said, okay. And the other guys basically, when they did something, they basically just, the other like 3 guys over there dropped it on him and he got fired basically.
Like one of our supervisors back in high school was Bree, and she wanted to be a police officer.
We hear you want to be an officer. Tell us about that.
So I've wanted to be a law enforcement officer for a while now. I've always wanted to help others. I enjoy helping others. I would say a lot of it like stems from my upbringing and my background as well, because as a kid I kind of had a rough upbringing, so I just want to go out there and help others and help people get through similar situations that I had to undergo as a kid. So yeah.
So Mark, are you down with me to become police officers?
Oh, fuck no.
What about like, oh look, there's that one guy I hated from high school. Let me just mace him in the eyes real quick.
Oh, you're right. Just be like, hey, look at that. You parked about 2 inches too close to the line. You, sir, ticket.
It's like a really, really fucked up fraternity.
On Reddit, and
Sean
somebody suggested that being a police officer be like jury duty, where like you have, and I was like, that is the stupidest idea I have ever heard. And I started to think about it. I was like, huh. Just imagine the fattest police officers running down the street.
Jury duty for like police officers, that kind of sounds similar to like a lot of ideas thrown around for like more local community based like security, quote unquote security forces. Right?
Here's
like
my
neighborhood watch.
Neighborhood watch. Here's my gated community.
Gay. Oh, what's another like one thing like I heard like I talked to my family and stuff about, it's like you need someone that's not on the police like payroll that can make decisions about this shit.
Yeah.
And has jurisdiction to actually do something like, oh, you killed an unarmed person, fuck you, you're fired. No ifs, ands, or like I think there's already a bill that's like trying to get rid of qualified immunity and stuff like that, which God thank fucking God.
Yeah.
That shit like that's like that's like one of the powers that like goes to people's heads like, oh, I basically can get away with whatever the hell I want.
And if you think about it, that's probably what attracts those high school popular guys that want to keep holding on to that power when they can get away with it, right?
Yeah, it would be interesting. Well, maybe we should bring like a psych professor one day. We'll bring him on, just start asking him questions like in a position of power, stuff like that.
It's like
because even the Stanford experiment has been debunked by a couple of people. So it's
what was the experiment again?
Stanford experiment was when you had average people who just became titled the role.
And they had to like, what was it, like electrocute someone when someone told them to do something or whatever?
Oh,
no.
Oh.
It's you were either a cop or a prisoner, and you found out apparently the results after like a couple of days is that the cops became a lot more violent and brutal towards the prisoners. But there's been a lot of people who've debunked that study because the cops were kind of expected, they almost felt expected to be violent in a way towards the prisoners. Because like when because they were being constantly monitored, but they didn't know what for. So they thought it was more like a show where you kind of had to like show that you had a lot more influence over these people. And so it affected the results, which happens a lot in methodology. And also that when they advertised the study, they advertised it as it's a study about police and prisoners. And notice the language where it says police and prisoners, right? Like it immediately shows that there's like a bias in there already. So it's a really interesting study, and I urge everybody to read it themselves or
Yeah.
watch the movie too. That movie was pretty fun. It's on
There's a
Netflix.
movie?
I think. Yeah, there was a movie, and I thought it was really fun.
I might actually get to that.
Mm-hmm. But
Like we have anything better to do.
But yeah, I think it also has to do with just fundamental changes that we have in policy, like the war on drugs. We gotta end that shit.
Please, God.
I'm so done with that. Like,
We lost. Okay, goddamn. Just say we lost. Like
Yeah.
we're not doing anything except for just fucking over communities at this point.
Exactly. And
and
we're
even then,
we're like slowly legalizing more and more types of drugs.
Weed
So,
is
exactly.
yeah.
And every time, I think Colorado's leading because, like, when we legalized marijuana, fucking shrooms were legalized, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh yes, Colorado, you got our backs."
Colorado.
When you think
is
about it,
what-
like I think only like a few years ago, Colorado was a red state, but now it's like
I think a lot of people from
Pretty
like
liberal.
blue states have actually moved there or whatever. When they're-
yeah, yeah, because of the weed shit. That's why.
It's like
You
the weed
carpet
shit.
bag.
Yeah,
No, I think it's the weed, but also like people I think like in retirement are starting to move there too because
Mhm.
it's a lot cheaper to live there than it's
Yeah.
like you sell your house in California and just move to Colorado.
yeah.
Honestly,
We're-
even I'm thinking about moving to like the Midwest. Like
Yo,
fuck it,
homie,
man.
wait, yo, you guys down to just like the four of us move to like a South Dakotan town with like 4 people in there? And just
Yeah.
take-
Is population city 4? What?
It's just one family that lives here.
It's one family. There's like a gas station, and you switch costumes for every single building. You're like, "Hi, welcome to the hotel. Hi, welcome to the gas station."
The diner, hotel, and gas station are all one building that's owned by one family.
Oh my
Hey,
god, that's
Efficiency.
efficiency.
True,
Yeah, isn't
right?
that communal living, guys? I think.
The son
We must
manages-
restructure society.
The son.
This is
owns
how
the-
we're gonna do it.
The son does the gas station. The mom is the cook during the dad is the cook during the diner, and then the other two just manage the hotel.
Mhm.
You have like the beefiest woman ever at the gate, just like, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah.
No, but that's true. What was it?
And honestly, with the trend in regards to like more liberal leaning people moving to like these kinds of states, it's also happening with Texas, right? Like we're seeing a lot of
Also, Texas,
Like
I think, has like a shit ton of Mexican immigrants going
Yep.
there too.
uh-huh. I mean, it's pretty obvious, you know, it's right next to Mexico and all
We're
and
saying,
whatnot. Yeah.
It's
But, like-
literally used to be Mexico. Like,
Yeah. Like legit.
Bro.
It was even its own country if you think back far enough.
oh yeah,
okay,
it was its
yeah.
own
Okay,
country.
on that. Why do Texans feel like such a pride from being from Texas? Like we were our own country once, bro. You were literally begging to come into the goddamn United States for like 10 years. It's just no
they-
one would let you.
They
in.
were their own country for like what, 3 or 4 years? Like
Yeah, they were, and like all 3 or
Yeah.
4 years, they were begging the Congress to let them in.
Yeah.
It's like the Eric Andre.
Yeah,
You would
yo,
like, let me
yeah,
in.
Let me in.
That was- like people act like, oh no, we were just like independent country, bro. You were like just let me give me
Yeah.
a chance, bro. You're like that one boyfriend that like broke up, and then you're like trying to get back with the girl, and then she's just not having any of your shit, and you're just begging like one chance, just give me one chance, just come.
Get that phone
It's
text.
simp.
Hey, you up?
Guys,
No, but,
it's
like-
official. Texas is a simp nation.
Oh my God, U.S. was Belle Delphine. Done.
No, but like
The
it's
U.S.
like, why,
is just
like,
e-girls.
I don't think like any state has like such a pride from being from their own state than like Texas does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we don't say, oh, we're from
Yeah.
like we're Californians, but they'll be like we're Texans, and I'm like,
You know, I think it's more so the equivalent of California. It's more like East versus West Coast. I think that's like where
Yeah.
you get the pride.
so what? Was Texas feeling sad because they weren't in a rap beef, so they made their own thing up?
With Texas, I think it's because like, you know, they have like such a distinct kind of culture. I guess
Yeah,
you
they
could say
do.
that's more it's more separate from the rest of the nation.
But
My man, Beta O'Rourke.
Homie,
I'm not sure why when you said beta, the first thing that
I
came
heard
up was
beta. I heard beta.
I mean,
Beta
he is
O'Rourke.
pretty beta.
Yo,
Like-
that is a smear ad ready. This is
I know,
Beta
right?
O'Rourke.
Where was
Missed opportunity, dude.
Why didn't Ted Cruz hire me for his Senate? I could have made that so easy.
Yeah.
Like just honestly, I feel like every campaign ad should just hire a 16-year-old that just played games all day to just come up with their insults.
Honestly, a
For
gamer
real.
PR team would
be insane. Like,
Yeah.
okay, if we were in charge of what Joe Biden said to counter Trump, we could get the man elected, honestly.
You're right.
Yeah.
Get the entirety of E3.
Because we would know how he could like say references without it being cringy, like the fucking like Pokemon go to the polls type shit. That shit was cringy. We know how to not do that.
Yeah.
What's it called? Dude, imagine like game developers, they just start putting political ads in their games. So like there's like a billboard on The Last of Us 2 that's just like, go Biden.
What is
but
it?
Then
it's,
again,
Red Dead Redemption is a Trump 2020.
But in all these, but think about it. In all these games, the apocalypse kind of happened. So it's kind of implicitly, kind of implicitly implying whoever was president during that time kind of fucked things up.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. At this point, like, I just want to be like just the homies. Let's just get through the apocalypse. Let's just all live in like we'll just do it.
Yeah, for real.
And we all gotta be proficient in archery.
Oh,
just so we can ride horses and shoot bows.
You want to become the
Amazon Primes.
So you want to become the Huns of the North America?
Yeah. We are the Huns of the North America.
And being North American, we don't ride horses; we ride buffalo.
I was about to say something about Native Americans, but I don't want to get canceled.
No.
Oh God! Don't even step there.
None of us are going to pretend to be experts on like Middle Eastern politics, because that shit be really, really, really fucked up.
I can tell you about Indian politics for the most part. Middle Eastern, I'm kind of just not. So here's just the facts that we know.
Yeah.
And what we understand.
Okay, basically, here's like a simplified version. In 2011, like the president of Yemen was like ousted by, I don't want to say the name because like I might butcher it, but the Houthi rebels, and they established their own government right after they fled. But the president fled to Saudi Arabia and got their help, and that kind of started like this entire thing of Saudi Arabia kind of intervening and trying to get this guy's government back from the Houthi rebels.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Also, mind you, this Saudi Arabia is backing the established government before, but Iran is backing the Houthi rebels-led government right there. So that's like a big player. Iran and Saudi Arabia. If there's a fucked situation in the Middle East, those two are probably involved somehow. But also, mind you, President Obama and President Trump are both complicit in this shit that's going on in there right now. You know what I mean?
Gotta say, Obama is a corporate neolib. Like, I'm just gonna straight up and say it. He will support the military-industrial complex in like any sort of way. The weapons manufacturers, if they keep it in business, then that's kind of what he did during his presidency. You know, so when people just simply blame Trump and Republicans for this stuff, no, this shit goes back years and years. Like we're both kind of implicit in this shit. So yeah.
And also, just for context for people who are out there, the reason why Iran and Yemen are so close to each other has to do a lot with religion, because religion plays a large part in the Middle East, and the Houthis are actually Shia, or they have like a sect from Shia.
Yeah.
That I think is Zaidi or something.
It's different. How do you say it? It's not like people bring up like, oh yeah, Protestant and Catholic split. It's nothing like that. It's completely different. These are two fundamental, like, they believe the same stuff, but it's just like I think it's like who led the religion after the Prophet Muhammad died. It's like a divergence of that broke the religion to like the Shia and Houthi, or not Shia and Houthi, Shia and what's the other one? Sunni. Shia and Sunni split for that.
As a Catholic, I can speak on this, which is Catholics believe in the Pope as the messenger of God. That's like one of our main tenets, right? And Christians and Protestants don't believe that. They believe,
Mark, your Wi-Fi cut again. Your Wi-Fi cut out again.
All that. God damn it! I swear, am I running off potato? I don't understand.
Don't worry, it's a meme in this podcast. Just you and your internet connection kind of just fucking up like every 5 minutes.
All right, am I good?
Mark's gonna start an OnlyFans.
OnlyFans, except I only say racist shit on there.
Oh yeah, that really turns people on, you know. Like,
yeah, just
all the alt writers, they love
redlining.
Yeah, they really love to see like like a minority say really racist things about themselves.
Yes.
Yeah. That's like a kink of theirs, you know.
Catholics believe in the Pope, right? That's one of our main tenets. The Christians and the Protestants don't believe in that. That's what happened. We split off from the Protestant Reformation that goes back, centuries. Now, it's different because the Shia and the Shiite, they do...
Shia and Sunni.
Shia and Sunni, sorry. The Shia and the Sunni believe in the same thing, except the messenger of God is sent, not that there is a messenger of God and that there isn't, but that there are two specific lines that they have to pick from. It's completely different, not to mention the economic instability in the region. When you combine economic instability with religious tension, you get violence. And it's such a complicated issue because the US and every other Western country is doing this for security belief, but not necessarily doing so in line with the religious factions that are...
They don't understand
Yeah.
the religious...
Yeah.
And
And actually, I read somewhere that at this point, or at least as of recently, like all the major powers and all the countries that are involved in this, they're doing it for their own self-interest.
Oh my
There's
God,
nothing,
Russia!
there is
Like-
literally nothing religiously like influenced in like this conflict anymore.
Like, for instance, the U.S. is Saudi Arabia's bitch because of oil.
Yeah.
Like,
And they're like one of the main people buying from us.
Yeah.
And all the weapons manufacturers.
Saudi Arabia say, I want 14 nukes this weekend. And the U.S. will go, okay. Don't take away our oil. Like,
And what's
'Cause-
worse is you realize that most of that money is only going to that percentage of the royal family in Saudi Arabia.
What I love about this I don't love this
What you
Rephrase,
love about it?
rephrase,
Yes,
rephrase.
he's a
What-
Saudi shell.
What I love about all this media attention that's being brought up now is that this is why I don't love this, because why are we only bringing this up now? Like, we literally had Bernie Sanders like mentioning this on the presidential debate stage and no one took him seriously. This has
think
been
it has
going
to
on
do-
for so many years.
I have a
Because-
theory, which is I think all the BLM and George Floyd momentum spilled into Yemen.
Yeah.
In,
Mhm.
in, in that everybody was kind of like on this social media clout game that people just started posting stuff. What I do not appreciate is that people are framing it the same way that it's a human rights issue. It's more than that.
Exactly.
It's way more than that.
I totally agree, dude.
Ooh.
Like I was talking about this on my Instagram, but like whenever I see these posts, they're only talking about the humanitarian crisis and like, oh, how you can donate today to help out. I'm like, no, that is not how you're gonna solve the problem at all. Like, I know there's places where you can donate for aid, but like that's not going to solve this issue. This is literally a genocide happening in the modern day.
This reminds me of that advertisement where the guy's like, hey, look at this hole of water, flex tape.
Phil Swift here for Flex Tape, the super strong waterproof tape.
Average person just wants to live their life in peace. Maybe like practice their religion, have a good life with their family, and just live on their life. Higher ups in the religion have different viewpoints, different beliefs, what they want to do personally, like such as power-wise, and gain more influence. So we're not talking about the average practitioner of the religion. We're talking about more higher ups in the religion who have more political power.
And that is why economic stability is such a detriment, because when a country becomes economically unstable or unstable politically, then people gravitate towards who's in power. And the average person knows religion, right? So you will follow
Religion.
what the religious higher-ups will say. And if you have those religious higher-ups wanting to wage war, they're going to follow suit or at least get harmed in the process.
Exactly. But again, we're not experts on the topic. We are in no way like someone who's
Yeah.
we're in no way experts in this topic. We just talk
And-
about what we know
and-
about the thing. And we could be completely incorrect for all we know.
We could
And
be.
this,
That's
in
why,
this case, it kind of brings up like this notion that I see people talk about a lot of the time. Because like when they're talking about like certain things like Black Lives Matter or the Yemen crisis or anything that's going on in the world, they're saying, oh, this is not a politics issue. It's a human rights issue.
yes.
But but when I think of that, I also think of the notion of, isn't everything politically related in some sort of sense?
Right now, where we are, everything's politically related in some
Yeah.
way, shape, or form.
I don't
You go to
ever buy
Chick-fil-A.
that argument. I don't ever buy the argument that a human rights issue somehow diverts from politics. And I don't ever believe that just because you believe, or like just because, let's say it is a human rights issue, doesn't mean somehow the conversation ends there, right?
Yeah, but
Right. Yeah.
for instance,
Which is what they do.
Yeah, and doing that kind of limits to yourself to only doing things like donating to like aid charities and stuff like that. Because if you kind of separate this from politics, you're kind of hiding yourself from the change that can actually happen if you actually go to politicians and demand them to actually do something about it.
Also, the fact that like, oh yeah, this is not a political issue. Everything's a political issue. Going to Chick-fil-A is a political issue right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Doing anything in your life, like, oh yeah, you're going to H&M, that's a political issue, like right now. Like everything.
Even Wendy's is like when Wendy's got canceled.
Yeah, like everything
Oh, yeah,
has
that
some
happened.
political. Everything has some political backing to it, like something political to it. Unless like the company has like exclusively just not had any political motive their entire career, which I highly doubt. Like everything has some political backing towards it.
Yeah. I can't wait till I see a bunch of Wendy's biggie bags at the White House.
What are your guys' things on like winner take all elections? Because I saw an episode of like the Patriot Act where he talked about this, and I honestly really agree with like what he's talking about.
Depends what you mean, because
instead of winner take all like two choice, I feel like ranked choice elections would be better.
Yeah, I'm definitely a strong advocate for ranked choice voting. You know, Maine actually just instigated that policy.
Yeah, it's like 2018 they put that in.
Yeah. And what's great about that is that it gives third-party candidates a much bigger platform, a much bigger chance to get the vote.
You know, it's actually really interesting because it seems to be almost bipartisan in the sense that even Ben Shapiro on the Daily Wire was almost like, yeah, I don't really see a problem with it.
Yeah. Like, the problem comes from Democrats and Republicans, like the higher ups in the party, both don't want this shit.
Yeah.
Because it takes away from their political power. Because if you have a ranked choice election, well, you know what that lets happen? That lets smaller parties grow. You could have the Green Party grow. You could have other groups grow. Because technically, your vote isn't wasted at that point. You can vote. Oh, I agree.
Hashtag Canada, let's go.
Yeah.
No, but it lets a lot of parties grow because your vote isn't like right now in a winner take all. You can only vote for one person, right? Let's say, fuck it, you vote for Gary Johnson, whatever the guy's name is, right? The candidate. Everyone tells you, like, what the fuck is wrong with you for voting for that person? You wasted your vote.
Right? Because
that's
say you vote Green and say morally, like, get in the perspective of this person. Morally, you cannot vote for either Trump or Biden because of their sexual assault allegations.
Exactly.
Maybe you're a victim of sexual assault yourself and you don't want to do that. Yet people will still slander you.
Yeah, because you wasted your vote. Like, oh, you're the reason why this person so and so.
I absolutely hate that. You know, you have like these hashtag resistance, blue check, hashtag vote blue no matter who, like white Karens on Twitter that like kind of go off at people when they say they're voting green. And I'm just like, they are entitled to their vote. Candidates don't expect people to. They're not supposed to expect people to vote for them. And if they don't, they shouldn't be slandered for it.
Also,
you're supposed to earn their vote yourself.
Also, one of the big things about ranked choice voting is you won't have people just going at each other like it's a roast battle before an MMA fight.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Like, they're just talking mad shit about each other. Because here's the thing. You can talk shit if you talk shit to, like, let's say Bernie and Biden, right? Bernie and Biden are going at it, right? Well, Biden actually has to, like, not be they can't be complete douches to each other because, oh, look, you pissed off all the Bernie fans. Well, they just can't vote you not their number one. They can vote you their number three if they really want to. And now look, look, the candidate that they voted for got kicked out. Well, most of their votes aren't going towards you now. They're going towards the second person they voted for. So you have to actually give policies and actually what you're behind with your actual status. Like, for instance, my biggest problem with Biden also right now is I don't know what he stands for. Like, that's my problem. Like, I've tried to do my research. I don't know what he really is going to do in office. All I know is I'm gonna beat Trump like a drum. That's literally all he goddamn says. Is that
I'm gonna beat Trump. I'm gonna beat him like a drum.
That's literally all he says. I can beat him. I'm a moderate that can beat Trump. That's literally all he says whenever he like does an interview or anything like that. And like that, like
in the very few interviews that he actually does.
Exactly. And that like, it really like it's hard for me that I actually vote for him because I don't know what I'm voting for. It's like I'm walking through a minefield and I don't with a blindfold on.
Yeah.
Like
that's
I don't know.
That's kind of why we need ranked choice voting, because if you look back, you know, there's so much division in the Democratic Party, and when you look at these debates, it's just a bunch of fighting over.
I've said this
other.
once. I'll say it again. The Democratic Party needs to split between a moderate party and a progressive party. Because, like for instance, Nancy Pelosi and AOC, if they were in Canada, they'd be in two completely different parties.
Exactly.
Their belief system. They wouldn't even be. They might be allies, but they wouldn't even be under the same tent. Is what people like to say, right? They wouldn't. But in America, because we have a two-party system, because we have winner-take-all elections, they're under the same party because, oh, look, we don't want the conservatives to win, so we're just going to like just smush as many people as we can under one banner because we just don't want them. We can't have them winning.
And the equivalent of the far left party in Canada is the New Democratic Party, right?
Exactly.
And they have like a considerable amount of seats in the legislature over there, right?
Or even back here in America, in Teddy Roosevelt's time with the Bull Moose Party, which was an independent party that was considered back then to be insanely progressive.
But like now would be considered conservative, but
yeah.
Well, except for except for environmental, because god damn it, Teddy Roosevelt cared more about the environment than he did human people. Like god.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. He thought black people were like the equivalent of dirt.
57% Americans want like a third party or something like that. Like they want another choice. But
and I think a lot of people think that is because of like the divisiveness and like the rage in politics today.
Like
and then because of that, nothing gets done. So it's kind of just,
exactly like
I
give like another thing is conservatives. They might not be alt-right, but because they don't want to be extremely progressive, like the people the Democratic Party, they'll stick with the Republican Party when they want to be more moderate or like not as progressive, but not as like alt-right. So people on both sides of the spectrum really need like just another choice. Like honestly, like I think like what's it called? Like we should have like 5 political parties. You have far left, far right, mid to left, mid to right, and then middle, or whatever. Or you can have 4: mid to left, mid to right. Yeah, you can have just 4.
Yeah,
like,
4.
I should have like one insane party that's full of conspiracy theorists. That's it.
Yeah,
Alex Jones' head ass is in there.
They all form their own political party.
I would pay money to see Alex Jones debate.
They could harness the youth incel vote, you know, and that's kind of just it. But you know, the thing with ranked choice, since we do not have ranked choice voting now, the only thing I think we as progressives can do is challenge our party structure, challenge the top establishment Democrats that are controlling this entire thing, right? And recently, we just had our Democratic primary. Or not our Democratic primary, but the Democratic primary for Kentucky, for New York, and a bunch of other states. And on the progressive movement had a lot of wins.
It
was a great night.
Yes,
it was really.
It was great. I loved it.
Yeah,
it made me happy.
God damn it, we're gonna be labeled as an alt-left fucking podcast.
Fuck it. Well, honestly, I've never heard someone say alt-left before.
Yeah, I know.
Alt left.
It's like I think I'm like the only person that ever uses that word because I'm just like, oh, really progressive? Well, they're alt left.
Well,
they're like the opposite of the alt right.
The difference I like to use is if you're a moderate Democrat, I consider you a liberal. But if you're like more to the left, I consider you like a leftist. I think that's generally the term that
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But in regards to who won, last Tuesday or a couple days ago at this point, so in New York, Jamal Bowman won in New York's 16th congressional district. He was facing a guy named Ellie Engel. He has been in Congress since 1989, and he is a war hawk. He is extremely pro-Israel, does not care about Palestinian rights, and if you look at a picture of him, he looks like a pedophile.
What's his name?
Ellie Engel. Turning point for his campaign was when he finally came back to his district after like 3 months of like living in and staying in DC, and he was getting interviewed. And,
Sorry, I'm staring into his eyes right now.
and he there was a hot mic moment, and he was caught saying twice.
Then I gotta go down the list, and it's just too many folks here.
If I didn't have a primary, I wouldn't care.
Say that again?
If I didn't have a primary, I wouldn't care.
Don't do that to me. We're not gonna do this.
Everyone's like, you know what? Fuck you.
That's his fault, honestly.
But
so
damn,
bad.
1989. So like what? 20?
Yeah.
No wait, that's like 31 years or some shit like that.
The dude's a dinosaur.
Homie's
For real.
Homie's been in Congress for almost as long as my dad's been alive.
Yeah.
He's been growing that mustache ever since Reagan.
Homie was around during
so
the Red Scare and just came along.
Yeah. And basically, because of his loss, he only got 30% of the vote, by the way. Jamal Bowman got 60%.
Holy shit.
Yeah. It was a blowout, dude. This was just like the AOC election 2 years
before.
What,
he had like, he lost by like, 30 points plus?
Yeah, a full 30 points.
Holy shit. Like, you know how hard it is to lose by 30 points?
And he's an incumbent, too. He's supposed to have better election chances, but I guess not.
Lost by 30 points. That's literally unheard of.
It's so bad. I think AOC had a similar
AOC,
stats.
but like AOC is like, honestly, I consider AOC a statistical anomaly for politics for the most part.
Well,
for right now.
I think people said that. I wouldn't consider it an anomaly now because, as you can see from the 2020 elections, there's a trend growing of people that are growing, more discontent with politicians, with the establishment, with politicians that are in office now, and they're failing. They're failing the people. They're not representing them. So I think, in addition to this BLM movement that's going on, people are growing tired of how politics have been run so far. So that's why we're seeing all these people getting replaced. We see Jamal Bowman replacing Elliot Engel, for an example. And 2 other elections happened in New York. And these guys named Richie Torres and Mondaire Jones, they are going to be the first openly gay black men to represent in Congress.
Yeah, let's go.
Right? It's incredible. It's been an incredible year, right?
It's been really. I just feel like one of the biggest things, I think, is like a lot more younger people. I think are getting like much more like energized to vote with like the BLM movement and like all the stuff that's been going on. People realize that us just protesting is a lot, but we need to do more.
Yeah.
And we can't rely on anyone else to do change. We have to make change happen ourselves. So I was really glad. Who was the guy you talked about? I think his last name was Booker.
Oh yeah. So there was another primary in Kentucky for the Senate. So basically, whoever's going to face Mitch McConnell and at least try to defeat him in a deep red state, but we'll see what happens. So basically, to run it down, there was this candidate named Amy McGrath. She is so moderate. She's like
dead
borderline conservative. Like, she was saying that, or her entire platform was that Mitch McConnell was blocking Trump from passing his agenda.
So if you vote for me, I'll get Trump's shit.
So that is a terrible position to take as a Democrat.
Just why are you a Democrat at that point?
Yeah. And
just join the other party.
She had the funding of the entire establishment. The DSCC was funding her. She raised over $41 million in the past 6 months, bro. That's a lot of money. And guess what? As of today, as votes are coming in, she is trailing Charles Booker. And Charles Booker only raised $700,000 in the past 3 months that he has been running. If Charles Booker narrowly loses, because the absentee ballots are still coming in, and it could go either way, that still comes to show how much how much the party is losing its grip on these elections with their donors and their corporate influence.
Yeah, because I just feel like a lot more younger people are just feeling like, you know what, fuck the system, fuck the establishment, fuck these moderate people that just will just not do anything and just try to make everyone happy. We want to elect people that will actually try to make change occur, that will actually go against these people that want to live in the 1920s and move us forward. Which I am honestly, let's go for it all the way.